Hear ye, and welcome to the Royal Geek Podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Rollison, also known as T-Roll, and tonight I'm joined by my very good friends. That's right, we got the whole band back together again, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, we have Justin Sandoval, a.k.a. Sandy, and we also have Anthony Amato, who we like to call Shimano. Boys, been a few weeks since we've all been on the podcast together. Ironically, I think next week I won't be here, so it's,
Oh yeah, that's right. You won't be.
We really, every year around this time, the holidays, it's just tough.
We should just take a break.
Yeah, we probably should, but it's okay. We don't. You know why? Because we love the game.
There you go.
We love the people.
Yeah.
And our beloved friends, listeners, followers. To which we say thank you once again for tuning in, and we want to remind you to subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen. Follow us on social media. Share the podcast with your friends. All of these things help us out tremendously. Okay, guys, we're here to discuss Monarch.
Yeah, episode 7.
Episode 7.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're chugging along here. And again, it's been a few weeks since we've all been together. Do we know how many episodes there are?
10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of an Apple standard. 10.
3 more to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10's a nice number. 10's a nice number.
Yeah.
Anything less, you're in that like dangerous Marvel territory.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything more, it's like, really, man? Yeah.
Yeah, you're going about like 15 years in the past if you do any more than like 10 nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I can maybe handle up to 12. Maybe. Ted
Yeah.
Lasso did that, and it was like,
Oh yeah, that's right. It did.
yeah, like to some extent, I'm like, all right, that's cool, but it's got to be a good show. Anyways, speaking of good shows,
Are we back?
are we back? What do you guys think? Or actually, Amato, I haven't talked to you in a while. Like, where are you at on Monarch right now as a series, Amato?
I am incredibly split.
Okay.
In my mind, I currently actually really am enjoying the storylines they're setting up. I really have enjoyed the storylines. I really enjoy the past and the characters that are set up in the past. But, and I brought this up before, I missed last week, but like these young characters are incredibly annoying to me at the moment. Like they have, I don't know, they're very just self-indulged. They can't see outside of their own like universe, like they can't get out of their own head, and understand that there are things bigger than them. And then they'll have these moments where they have these outbursts where they act that like they have these moments where you're thinking they're building out of that, but then they fall right back into their like shell of being really incredibly self-centered.
That's well stated.
I know. It's almost like we said this last week, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We feel the exact same way.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, and I mean, I will say I don't feel like Kate, who I've had my biggest gripes have been with Kate.
Yeah.
In this episode, it wasn't as bad. I don't think
She wasn't as bad. This was entirely in May.
This is all about May.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay, well, hold on. Kate did have one moment where
Okay.
she was completely like she's been all season, but didn't grasp the magnitude of the situation. I don't know if you guys remember it or not. She's I believe she's talking to May. No. I think she's talking to Tim. They're at the airport, and she's just like, "You need to help me find my friend," right? Like she's like, "You got to do this," right? But then like Tim's dealing with like he just had a ton of his crew died in the helicopter.
Yeah, like he's lucky to be alive.
He's suspended from his organization
Yeah.
because of Godzilla, right? Like her dad either is calling Godzilla or not, or like doing some sort of research to whatever's going on. Shaw is over here trying to destroy rifts in the world, and she's like, "You got to help me save my friend." Like, I mean, if there ever was more of a disconnect on what's going on,
I don't think
around
that's
her-
just a friend.
Yeah. Okay, I call this like 5 episodes ago.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's more and more working in that direction.
Yeah.
Totally. And I'm not. I mean, I think one of the last shots of the episode was May kind of like holding Kate's hand
right? Yeah.
in a more intimate way.
Yeah. What was kind of hilarious is like the look on Kataro's face.
Yes.
Like,
Dude, May's
he
about
was
to,
like, what's going on there?
dude,
Like,
because like they're siblings.
they're siblings, and they're about to become like Eskimo siblings. Like, because Kentaro's already gotten a piece of May too.
It's true. This is true.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of interesting seeing May kind of go around the family. Well, okay, in fairness, it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
And what I was going to say is, up until that last shot, it was, to me, it looked like mostly Kate
Yeah.
wanting May, as opposed to like it being a mutual thing. But
Yeah.
it looks like they're probably going to be moving in that direction. Anyways, yeah, this whole episode, it's called Will the Real May Please Stand Up?
Yeah.
It's kind of a clever little title. Shout out.
for sure.
Shout out to, I guess, who makes this? I don't know. They're Apple.
Apple.
Yeah,
Apple,
great.
yeah.
Shout out to Apple. Anyways, we learned. So here's one thing about this show that I haven't liked, and I understand that in a series, there's going to be a suspenseful wait as you're waiting for answers.
Yeah.
Right? Like I have so many questions, and like always in a series, they're going to keep you on the edge.
Yes.
Right? But with this show, like, for example, their dad, like, we haven't had a single scene. We got one shot of him in the desert. He's got some machine.
Yeah.
It looks like, to me, it looks like he awakens Godzilla. I don't know. But
I mean, I mean,
either way, the point is, we don't know.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
Like,
I mean, I think we know, but like,
well, but they haven't been explicitly clear with a lot of things.
I know. I think the biggest issue is, unlike their callbacks to the 50s,
Yeah.
the callbacks to the younger, the younger characters have not been compelling. So I think that's the issue. If they were compelling moments, you'd be drawn in, and then almost a little bit sad when you get pulled back to the present.
Yeah.
You know, whereas, and I think that's why you feel like you long for the past, because the past is actually compelling. You're actually like, the 50s stuff is like really is the stuff you're wanting to know more about, and you're wanting to know why this is happening. You know, and it's very interesting seeing this situation going on with that, and it's just, you know, and actually back to the, you know, they kind of alluded more to there being a love triangle by the 50s too.
That's true.
Like,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
right.
in the last episode,
there's no
like
siblings
they were
there.
kind of, I mean, but it's pretty strong. It's pretty close. Otherwise, I mean, to tell you the truth, Bill and Shaw are probably closer than Kentaro and Kate are when that is actually happening.
Yeah.
Like,
No,
when you
that's fair.
when it really comes down to it, you know. And one thing that I'm kind of thinking about, like, the possibility, like, what if, I don't know, what if Bill isn't actually the father of,
Right, yeah.
Dude,
you
I
know,
think for sure.
like,
Yeah.
I think for sure, honestly.
Well, especially
Yeah.
after the last episode, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like that's something that's a twist they would do.
yeah.
But here's my thing, and I don't know if this is just and maybe you guys like it, and I don't know if I don't like it. I don't know, but you know, the three characters I care about the least are all the young people:
Yeah.
May, Kentaro, and Kate. And maybe the reason I care so little about them is because for a lot of this series, we haven't known everything.
Yeah.
And it's like, so they had one episode where they talked about Kate's backstory.
Yeah.
They had one episode where they talked about Kentaro's backstory. And now this one,
May.
May's
May's.
backstory. Do you guys like that? Or would you rather have it all kind of mixed together so that we're learning more and more about all of them equally?
Man, I feel like episode 7 is a little late to the show.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels late. It feels
Yeah.
late.
I think this is something that should be established in the first 3 episodes. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe.
Especially if you're dealing with three characters who,
Are supposed to be the audience
like,
perspective.
Yeah, the audience perspective, but on top of that, they're also their backstories are going to be the least compelling in
Yeah.
general, because they're not dealing with Titans or Muto, like, in general.
Right,
like, in their
yeah.
past, except for Kate's interaction on G-Day, they're not dealing with those big monsters all the time. So, like, whatever, even if Maze, like, has an espionage is something involved with it, and Kentaro's, you know, art stuff might be important to the storyline, but it's distracting from Muto's. Like,
Right,
you,
yeah.
like you need to get that stuff done with, you know, if you're going to do that kind of stuff. And I think it's also and once again, like, I mean, I hate to drive in on it, but if they had done a better job of them being, it's hard to get into characters that are so self-centered
Yeah.
Like it's hard for you to feel for someone else.
And once again, Kentaro in this episode is like, whatever, man. I got a
Yeah.
first class ticket. I don't care about Dad. He saw us and just left. It's like, yeah, Godzilla was
Yeah,
there.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It was pretty obvious that he was calling you off. Also, like, get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Why is Dad waving at me? Like
Yeah.
that? Like,
Should we run down there, Dad?
yeah.
yeah.
Like,
But
no,
anyway, like it's hard to feel for people and try to
Yeah.
invest yourself into someone when they are obviously not invested in anything else in the world except for themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Very good point. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
I actually kind of enjoyed May's backstory, to be honest
Did
with
you?
Yeah, I did. I don't know, the whole, like, her being a coder, a programmer, and she obviously created an algorithm that was really, really solid. So much so where this company, I started getting vibes that this company was very, very, very important early on. Like, when she's first confronted in the cubicle area, I was like, okay. This is something that is going to be revealed that has already taken place in the Godzilla world already.
Which
and
turned out to be Apex.
yes, Apex by
Cyber
Cy-
optics. Cyber neutroptics.
I think Cyber Optics. There you go.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
I don't know.
But
Words.
anyway, basically the creators of Mechagodzilla.
Right.
So, I don't know. I kind of like that. The laying down the framework of what we see.
I didn't mind it.
To come
Again,
to.
it was more just like you said, episode 7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Placement for sure is a little off.
But yeah,
story's a little more compelling. I think.
it is. At the same time, for me, and again, I sound really critical on this pod, but I want to say that I still feel optimistic about the show, honestly.
Yeah, me too.
And I think
Me
the
too.
way you said it, Shimano, you feel, what did you say, incredibly split or something like
Yes.
that? I feel that way too. I feel like things are really convoluted for me. Like, is Shaw all of a sudden a mega villain?
looking that way.
Right? Like,
Yeah,
in
it's looking-
Well,
and it
okay.
seems like Tim has morally brought Monarch to a place of like, how did Tim
Yeah.
just get Monarch to go?
Well,
Did they go good?
just
well, hold
break
on.
out?
Let's like kind of like pull back a little bit. You said, is he a villain? Okay, so yes and no, because what he's doing is he's destroying the monster rifts, right? Like, is that necessarily a bad thing in this universe?
What is
like
what is the monster rift?
like just these little like whatever the heck those
my,
it's-
What
yeah,
are they?
my point is
Yeah.
another
it's
question not
probably,
answered.
Yeah, it's probably like
Yeah, what they actually are.
it's probably like a point in Earth where they can come out of, like that kind of thing.
It's also like, okay, so they've done a pretty poor job of distinguishing between what is a good and a bad Muto.
Yeah.
Like, like I know there's like, oh, I mean, Godzilla is like, you know, I mean, in the movies they've kind of like drawn some lines on there, but
Right.
it's like, you know, how do you know the difference between a good and a bad one? You know,
Shaw in the last episode he drops a line, "I'm trying to save Godzilla," right? Here's where I think he's going.
Trying to
with
help
that.
him.
Or help him, yes. He's trying to help Godzilla. Here's what I think he's trying to do, okay? I think that Shaw believes that there are other Mutos that could potentially be worse than Godzilla. So he's trying to close it, seal it off to where Godzilla is the only, like, they know like the evil that they get with Godzilla. Like they already can judge and see what Godzilla's capable of. They don't know if something else is going to come out of that hole that's going to be worse, and they don't know what it's capable of. So I think that's how he's trying to help, quote unquote, help Godzilla.
And also, it just feels like Shaw. Again, I like his character. I like a lot of the characters, but like has like this inexplainable following.
Yeah,
This guy's been locked up, or not locked up. He's been in on house arrest at a nice resort.
Yeah.
Yeah,
For
how
like
does he have all these
decades.
connections still, and especially connections that are like 40 years younger than him?
and how old is he? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then again, the role of Monarch here, it's like, wait a minute. So now they're helping May, like the deputy director. You know, is she getting more neutral, more gray? Our boy Tim, we called this.
I'm not gonna lie, I was super glad when I saw Tim like at the beginning of the episode. I was like, okay, I'm happy. I was
I like
I was a
Tim.
little sad when Shaw was like, you know, there was no survivors.
Yeah.
But I held out hope because there's the classic idea of if you don't see a body, then someone really dead. And also, it's like, okay, well, I mean, it probably wasn't super easy to tell what was going on there either.
And I
Yeah.
did think it was kind of funny how when Tim emerges, it's similar to like Godzilla coming out of the same.
Yeah.
Like, but it was just Tim and his stupid face.
I like one of my favorite parts of the entire episode was just like Tim's exasperation with like the young people, like that. Like he's like I've had a really
I don't have time for this.
yeah. Like he's like.
Go easy on me.
Yeah, like his idea of like, okay, so like, can we get to stuff that actually matters? Like, almost like the way that we feel as an audience when the young people are talking about this stuff that seems like insignificant.
He's so annoyed. He's like, all right, fine, I'll help you find your stupid friend.
He's like, we need to get to stuff that actually like matters. Like, do you understand that there are things in this world that actually matter?
Yeah.
It's kind of how I feel like he's talking.
And it was funny where he's like, I should tell you something about your friend. You know, she's been lying to you this whole time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You sure you want to spend our precious few moments, chasing this lead?
Yeah.
How about Tim? First of all, superstar. He's been great.
Yeah, he's been enjoyable. Yeah.
How about when he uses the freaking
Beacon or
the alarm
yes.
for the whole city of
Yep.
Seattle?
Yes.
Getting everyone to freak out.
Yeah. That's good.
Dude, can you what?
Yeah, well,
False alarm, huh?
yeah. Well, they said that we saw it. We're in Japan already,
Yes.
right? We
Yeah.
saw that, and it was just a prototype, hadn't gone public yet, and then he just uses it, and everybody's just going nuts. Like,
Yeah.
it's wild.
Yeah, it was good.
Imagine that happening like nowadays. Like that'd be
Yeah.
weird.
Well, a couple years ago, people in Hawaii had this happen where there was an alert that went out to everyone's phones saying that there was a nuclear strike and that they should, seek
Shelter, yeah.
somewhere. And it was a complete just failure of a system.
Mm.
And it's like, so that kind of has happened
Yeah.
in real life. But
I mean, there is there is a direct connection. Like, I think there is something that's set up to where if the president wants to, he can send a message to every single cell phone in the United States. Like,
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
it's there. The
like
technology's there.
Yeah. Like there was an entire running of jokes about what would, be sent out by the president.
Yeah, like if Trump somehow got back in, not to get political, but
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. Is like
Right?
like it was like what he would send out because
Yeah.
it was during his presidency that this technology did come out.
Yeah. Nice.
that's wild. A fun section of the show would be which character in the show is most like Trump. just random. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's late and I'm tired.
very random.
Okay. What's the deal with Shaw? Like, is he like? Is there a villain in this show?
I mean,
Because I thought it was Monarch.
it's gonna be now. It's Apex now.
Is it? Here's my prediction on Apex. I feel like that's the nod. That's it. I got this sense that like
It's a one-off.
that the rest of these next 3 episodes
Nothing to do with Apex.
nothing to do with Apex. Like this is a prequel. They gave it to us, but that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could really see that.
I mean, then it's got to be Shaw. Then it really does.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Again, it just feels like every episode where I'm like not really sure. Again, what is their dad doing?
Right.
Nothing.
We need
Yeah.
more of a clear picture these next 3 episodes. Like
Well,
there
like,
needs to be
I
clear
think
direction.
the biggest thing is why was their dad doing what he was doing?
Yeah.
Like, why was he using that technology that was obviously from the previous episode, just more advanced?
Right.
Like, or from the same episode, more advanced. Why was he calling Godzilla in this moment? Like,
How do you know where Godzilla was?
Yeah.
Like, I just feel like here's what they would be nice is if there was a scene where he seems to be by himself.
Yeah.
Where if he's got like a little voice recorder and he's just doing logs and explaining to like his loved ones, if you ever find this is why I did what I did. Just
Yeah.
something like that for me would be helpful. Maybe
I mean, maybe in the next episode we're gonna get 15, 20 minutes of just the dad. Just
Maybe-
how he
maybe.
escaped on G-Day.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, like what was he doing during G Day?
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Maybe something like it would be cool. It would be a cool scene to see him like something being handed down to him too. Like, and it's like when maybe when his dad like drops something, like he like finally like really unveils what Monarch is, like
Right.
what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know.
I think we need to also kind of take a step back and focus in on that this is a prequel series, right? So where they are in the point in time, like they're in 2015, right? So this is just before Godzilla King of Monsters movie is going to coming out, right?
Yeah.
And the events where potentially Shaw destroying these rifts and stuff in the Earth leads to the emergence of all of the monsters that are going to come out in that movie because they can't go through those holes anymore. So they're probably running away, and they all come out.
Or what if like Shaw just maybe the ending of this is Shaw failing, and maybe he was going to close them all.
Yeah.
But be an interesting idea is Shaw is actually the hero, but he's perceived as the villain. Throughout this, like leading up to King of Monsters, like he was going to shut off like all the rifts.
Yeah.
But the rest of everyone else, because of Shaw's fault, because he does zero explaining of anything to anyone.
Yeah, exactly.
But our so-called heroes, the kids, and Monarch try to take the hero position and basically stand up to Shaw because they think Shaw's gone off the rails.
Right.
And Shaw's doing the right thing. Monarch's actually doing the right thing. The kids are doing the right thing. Everyone's actually doing the right thing. But because no one is communicating,
Yes.
they stop Shaw, which directly leads to
this big event.
the rifts being not closed all the way.
Yeah.
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 Jeez. Yeah. I mean, that very well could be the case. That very well could be the case. And there is no technical villain then. If
Yeah.
that's the case. And it's more of like a situational type of villain. Like the situation they put
which would have
themselves in.
like a sad realization moment.
Yeah.
Like maybe Shaw at the end is like you have no idea what you've done.
Yeah, exactly.
There you
Which,
go.
to some extent, the villain could just be the threat of Mutos.
Yeah. There you
Right.
go. Yeah.
And, like, everyone's trying to prevent it in a way that's different instead of just coming together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Tim was trying to get deputy director to just, like, forget about Shaw. Like, we've got these kids. We need to find Randa. And I did like how Kate said, we did this, this, and this. We found all these things without any of your help.
Yeah. Or
And-
resources.
Yeah, or resources. And you could see Tim's face. He's like, told you so.
Yeah.
Yep.
His nods in the car were
Yeah.
hilarious.
And they come out, Monarch comes out publicly, and they do the little speech, which Monarch is a more prominent figure in the sequels to Godzilla. Like, I mean, they're there out in the open. They're not just coming in on the backside of G-Day in secret. Like, they're there
Right.
as a driving force.
Yeah.
So that's something that the series is setting up for that reveal. So I thought that was pretty cool too.
Yeah, and I think it's like it's an interesting it's their way of like kind of showing Monarch as a hero in a way, and even like kind of what we were saying is maybe there really isn't a true villain, and like when Tim was talking to the deputy Verdugo, and he was like basically bringing up like if we hadn't been so secretive and been so like clandestine with our motives and the way we did things, we probably would be significantly further ahead right now.
Yeah, maybe Randa wouldn't feel the need to go all, Ghost Protocol
Yeah.
on this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
But he's gone off the grid and no one knows why.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you guys think is going to happen next?
I mean, honestly, I think it's going to come down to it's going to be everybody versus Shaw and the French chick, Michelle. And I think it's going to be a large part of the lack of communication. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's going to come down to. I do think we're going to get some pretty serious Titans action. Like, I honestly think we're going to get Rodan. Like, I'm not sure if he was. I don't think he was killed in the first Godzilla, was he? He comes in the second one.
Yeah. No. No.
Yeah. I think we're gonna get. Yeah, I think we're gonna get.
Side note: May, I think on a couple different occasions, mentions this deal she had, and Tim knows nothing of it.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Right? Because
yeah.
it was the French chick, Michelle. You said she's the one who talks to May.
Yes.
Okay. Is that deal off, or do you guys think that the deal is still on? May probably knows something. Sorry, Cora, probably knows something more, but they're still hoping to utilize May in some regard. What do you think?
I think that deal's off with
Deal's off.
Michelle and Shaw. I think this other new deal that she's working on with Apex, I think that is the deal that supersedes everything right now.
Yeah, to me it looked like Monarch just agreed, like if they just drop charges, debt is paid.
Yeah.
That Monarch promised AET, or now Apex, that they would give them some technology.
Yes.
That's what you guys took from that. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a sharing.
the meeting wasn't-
sharing of resources.
Because we didn't even get a scene of them in the room together.
Nope.
Two women leading these massive companies. That could have been cool, even if it was just like the beginning of the meeting.
Right.
When you see their eyes meeting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
it's just like, oh, she's in the lobby waiting for you.
Yeah.
And that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of like miscommunications again, like the Dr. Barnes character, who is who's the one who was like, she went to the bathroom, and then she's like, just another moment of miscommunication. Like, she probably would have sided with Shaw if she had actually been in the room and taken a second to like, if there had been any sort of communication there, like,
Yeah.
because I really feel like at that moment, like, her mindset more correctly aligned with the group that Shaw was leading,
Yeah.
truthfully, because she was kind of trying to be like, hey, just like pay attention to this stuff,
Did you guys get the sense that the deputy director just is now good at her job?
I mean, kind of, yeah.
Getting outsmarted by
Well,
some...
when we first get introduced to her, she's like, "You're pulling away from my kid's something or whatever." Like, she's just like in the middle of like living life, and now
she
she's
drops
now
the mom
now she
line.
has to do
Yeah.
her job, like that kind of thing, right?
I feel like the position they're putting her in is like she's trying to pull an organization that is like, she's trying to turn around a tanker on like a dime turn. Like, and it's just basically an impossible task. Is kind of how I feel like it is. Not necessarily that she's necessarily bad at her job, but like the organization that she is leading is so massive and clandestine and so like shady that it's like the idea of it being able to be turned around is kind of almost a hopeless task in its own doing.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. I guess my fear is that the show will end up fizzling out. It's been a slow fizzle. It's not like it's...
Yeah.
But again, it just feels like every week... I think actually this week's episode was a little better. Because I think I had maybe 2 straight weeks where I was kind of like, yeah, okay, just...
Yeah,
kind of
I think this was an improvement. I think.
Yeah,
so.
I think it was too.
I mean, if anything, like this is just getting me more hype for the Godzilla movie that will come out next year. So
Yeah.
I'm enjoying the show. This episode definitely saved.
Hey, it's called Godzilla and Kong. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're right.
A
you're
new
right.
empire or whatever. Give Kong some respect.
I was
okay?
never a Kong fan. I
Well,
was
you
always
need
a
to.
Godzilla fan, so.
His name's on the front line.
It is. You're right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this episode was an improvement, and I think this show has potential to end very well. So I'm looking forward to next week.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, it'll be you guys running point on that one. I won't be here next week, sadly, but we do hope that everyone who is tuned in listening will return next week for our review of episode 8 of Monarch. So, with all that in mind, for my good friends Sandy and Shimado, this is T-Roll saying thank you so much for listening to the Royal Geek Podcast. We will see you next time, you peasants.